So this week we are covering CSS3. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this, and so you aren't going to have to wait any longer. We have web-based readings, and these kind of focus on the areas of CSS that we have not covered yet. And then I've got a lecture demo. And so we kind of look at the different areas that CSS3 has been split into. With CSS3, there are new CSS styles developed all the time, and sometimes the web browsers do not recognize them yet. So they could have some CSS out there that the browsers don't know about. And if you want your code to work in all the various browsers, you do have to prefix it. And I can probably show you an example. Hold on a second. So this is an example of the text stroke or text outline. And so you can see that it is prefixed with WebKit. Now, normally how this would be added, okay, is you would add the prefixes, but you'd also add it without. That way, when the browsers do recognize it, it'll work and you don't have to change your code. So you will add it both ways. Okay. And so, you know, if you really want to make sure that everything is going to work, you could go ahead and add, where is it? All of the prefixes. But even Firefox now is using WebKit. So I think WebKit will catch most of the browsers. I mean, you could prefix with MS and O for Opera. And I think Firefox is using WebKit now. It goes along with the rendering engine that they're using. And sometimes they change their rendering engines, which would make us have to use a different prefix. But I mean, it doesn't hurt to add all of these prefixes because it's just going to ignore ones that it doesn't use. So if it's not requiring WebKit anymore, it would just go with, you know, the regular command. And so if I wanted to add for Opera, let's say, I can just prefix with an O. Okay, and Internet Explorer, which I'd be surprised if anybody was using, I could prefix with MS. Okay, but honestly, if you prefix with WebKit, most of the browsers are going to recognize it. If you have some newer CSS and you're not sure if a browser is going to recognize it, you can go to this website. You can key in your CSS. And so I could actually key in text stroke. Let me do color. Okay, and here it is showing me. And it looks actually like the newer version of Opera is picking it up. Pretty much everybody is, except for Internet Explorer, which is pretty outdated. Then we come over to mobile. And so we've got a couple that aren't picking that up yet. So, you know, it just depends on what you think your users are going to be viewing your page on. All right, so going back in here. So that's what these prefixes are used for. It's newer codes. As you go through here, you'll notice that if this is something that we've talked about before, I did put review on here because we have covered some CSS3 already. But for some of these styles that are popular and fun, it does not hurt to see them again. And you can see the codes that I used to create the different examples. Also, there are links to the interactive site so you guys can practice. So we get into backgrounds. Okay, and as you work through here, you'll learn a couple different additional ways of adding color that we have not talked about. Learn how to create gradients. Okay, and I did create plenty of examples. So you guys are going to get a pretty good feel for how these features are used. Okay, and whenever you see a live example, it is something that you can interact with. Once you are done, then you are going to do the textbook assignment. And there are several files that you're going to want to download. I'm giving you a lot of the regular HTML so that we can focus specifically on the CSS3. Okay, so you're going to download these. And then you can see you're going to add web fonts, gradients, and tooltips to an existing page. It's going to be this famous quote page. So this kind of walks you through how to do that. Okay, and you can see I tried to highlight the code that you have to add. Then you're going to be animating that page. So it'll be kind of fun. If you look at the page, you've got these little boxes. You're going to make these boxes look a whole lot better. And then you are going to be animating them. And when you point at the box, a little tooltip is going to display too. We'll have a little fishy in the box. So it's going to be kind of a fun page. Okay, so you're going to walk through adding the tips, adding the animation, and then you'll be done with that quote page. From scratch, you guys are going to do basically a 3D cube. So the code I did put in this iframe, for those of you that prefer to view it here. Otherwise, I do have it in a PDF. So it's the exact same code as the iframe. Okay, and so by the time you are done, you will have kind of a cool looking 3D box, and it's going to look kind of like this. Then you are also going to create an animated ball. So this is the code that you need to enter to create a bouncing ball. Okay, and you'll see, to make it realistic, we added a little shadow to it. Then the song snippet file, you're going to copy from a previous week. You're going to copy the HTML file and the CSS file, and then you're going to be adding some animation to that page. Okay, so this walks you through animating that page. Okay, and I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun with this. Animation is fun. Once you are done, then you're going to work on the lab assignment, which is more animation fun. So you are going to start out by animating a couple of your existing pages. So to keep them separate from the previous lesson, you're probably going to want to copy the page and the graphics into your lesson 9 folder. So from lesson 6, you're going to copy your Flexbox model into the lesson 9 folder. And then you'll also have to go into the lesson 6 media and copy all of the graphics into your lesson 9 media folder. And then you're going to be applying some animation to that. And so I have an example here. And basically you're going to animate your little boxes so they rock. So when we hover, you get this little rocking effect. Okay, so that's basically what you're going to do there. Here is the code for that. And you'll be able to look at my code. But however you created those boxes, that is what you're going to have to animate. Okay, so that's the element that's going to need the animation on it. So you can actually kind of take a look in here to see how I did that. Let's see. All right, so here is my hover. And I'm saying the name of the animation is rock. It should be 1 second and it should go on for an infinite amount of time. And then down at the bottom is where I have the keyframes for the rock. Okay, so that is the animation, and here's where I am applying it. For your form, the animation is going to be a little bit more complicated because we're going to have the elements slide onto the page. So this code is for your heading. So if your heading is a heading 2 and not a heading 1, you have to put the code in that. So it's going to depend on, your HTML. But the idea is that you're positioning the title kind of off the screen, and then you're going to have it move on to the screen, and then it's going to stay in place. Okay, so that's the idea. Then all of the paragraphs that are in that page, we're also going to have animate. So your form elements should be in paragraphs. And so all of that is going to slide on as well. So you can see that I've got the settings here. And then I've got how it's going to animate to. I've got the from and to settings. And then you can see that it's going to last for about 3 seconds. Okay. And let me show you how that looks so you can kind of see. I animated both the survey and my other form. So here we go. You can kind of see everything sliding on. And for my other one, here it is as well. And so my heading is an H1 in both of these forms, but if you have a different text in your heading, then you'll need to animate that. And my paragraphs, I have animated as well. And then the input button, if we scroll down, you can see I animated it here. Now, if you need to change some of those settings, that is perfectly fine. In the text survey, I did have to make a little modification because for my heading, I centered it. So having it go 20% made it off center. So I just changed that to 0. And then for the buttons, having them go to 300 just was too big and it was knocking into stuff. So I changed that to 200. So, if you have to make adjustments, that's fine. These are not, set in stone. So you are going to have to make adjustments to make your form animation look good. Then for part 2, you are going to create a page with resizable text boxes and images. So here is the page that you're going to download. It uses the same graphic that you have in the quotes. Okay, so that is also here. And then you'll be adding this code to make everything resizable. Okay, so here we've got the codes that you will end up with, and then you will save your changes. Finally, part 3 here is adding animation to your assignment page, and it can be whatever you want. You decide what you want to animate. Okay, what I'm going to do is look in your CSS, and I'm going to search for the word transition, and I'm going to search for the word animate, and I will be able to find whatever you animate. So make sure you add that. And then finally, you're going to update your assignment page with links. And so that is what we are going to be working on. Have fun with this assignment. I think you guys are going to love CSS3, and let me know if you have any questions.